Good morning. How is everybody doing today? It is kind of an overcast day here in Oregon, but it's still nice. It's not raining, so I'm not going to complain. I just thought I would invite you guys to do a little Bible journaling with me today. And instead of writing it out, the verse that I am concentrating on, I'm actually going to do this illustration that's next to it because I think that is super, super pretty. I was looking for a verse actually on trust, but this verse popped out at me, so I decided to go with it, which is kind of, it's definitely very similar. If you hear zipping, I am unzipping my little pencil-y thing there. The verse is out of Hebrews 6, verse 19. It says, "This hope is a strong and trustworthy anchor for our souls." And of course, he's talking about the gospel of Jesus. Jesus is our hope. He's all of our hopes. He is the only hope right now that's going to help any of us. Always has been, but especially in these last days. So the pretty little illustration right there. I love anchors because, I live close to the ocean anyway, and I love anything nautical theme. My entire bedroom is completely nautical, and I love the beach. I love the beach. So it's got a beautiful anchor, and then little waves we're going to do, if I can find the correct things I want to do. And I was also wanting to talk to you guys about something else that's kind of part of my everyday life, and I have been watching a lot of YouTubers who struggle with this because I love hearing their stories as well. And it's chronic illness. And chronic illness can come in a lot of different forms, as I'm sure all of you know. My particular issue is fibromyalgia, arthritis, degenerative disc disease, and atrial fibrillation are the main culprits. But I also have very severe sleep apnea and, a lot of things that go along with fibromyalgia. One of the worst things, and it's coming up, and I dread it this winter, is, and I'm probably not going to pronounce this correctly, but it's called Raynaud's disease. And it's a nerve thing as well, and it's in the tips of your fingers mostly. When they go in a change of temperature, especially, anything can do it, but a change of temperature really does it. The tips right here will start just throbbing, and they will get extremely cold. And sometimes it's just one hand. Sometimes one hand is, cold, and the other hand is normal. And then they can turn purple or icky red because it messes with the circulation in your body, and then causes your nerve endings to go nuts. So that's why it does that. So like wintertime, when I first get out there, my hands will be like, ice, and I will be trying to drive with icy fingers. So I'm going to pray, and the Lord, he'll give me a car one day that's got one of those heated steering wheels, the fancy ones, I want one of those. So anyway, the part I was wanting to really talk about is, and this is where trust comes in. When you are diagnosed with a chronic illness, and especially one that's debilitating, and like with me, I ended up having to leave my job. I cannot work anymore because my body is just too messed up. I hurt all day long, and just basic things like getting up early in the morning is not something I can do, because also another thing that goes along with fibromyalgia is chronic fatigue syndrome, and I have that as well. So it doesn't matter how much sleep I get. It really does not. I'm always tired. Always tired. Some days it's exhausting. Some days it feels like somebody takes a big old wet blanket, just lays it on top of you, and you can't move. You're just buried underneath that heavy, heavy thing. So just a lot to deal with, a lot of stress. a lot of financial stress we have going on right now, because my husband also has a very serious heart condition. He is still working. They seem to have finally found a medication that helps him. He has a pacemaker and a defibrillator. And then he has to take this very, very serious medication. It's kind of a scary medication. But it's the only thing that will keep his heart beating correctly. So, as a result, you can imagine he has crazy amounts of doctor bills. I have crazy amounts of doctor bills. And right now, with the one income, even the smallest amount of stuff to pay is a struggle. And, you know, we're used to being able to bless other people, purchase, you know, buy people things. Love finding young mamas that need to, you know, don't have money to really do what they need to do for their baby, and then just blessing their socks off. I love doing stuff like that. But right now, that's not possible. But I trust God. And I know He is going to put us back in a situation where that will once again be, you know, what I'll be able to do. And right now, you know, I'm fighting for my disability, which, you know, is a fight. But I did take the initiative and got in touch with our state senator, and his office is actually trying to help me get it expedited and get it to go through without having to get a lawyer and fight for years. Because, you know, people, how do they think people are going to live when they can't work? I mean, it's in this country, there's so many people who are getting benefits, and you're like, okay, why? They don't need them. Like, you know, working in a hospital, I saw it all the time. People who desperately needed help, the government wouldn't help financially. And then you had people come in who just, you know, they got their money all the time, and they were completely covered for everything, you know, 100%. So it just doesn't make sense. Our government is so screwed up when it comes to that. Who they choose to help and who they choose not to help. People who work their entire lives, and when they get into a situation like mine, should be eligible for help, and the government should not make it so hard. I have to go to 2 doctors this month alone that Social Security wants me to go to, and then for their determination, which means they are working on the case. So they, you know, which is what our senator's office was telling them, to get on it instead of just letting it sit there. And they did. So they are working on it. But even with that, it's, you know, after you get approved for disability, it's another 5 months before you see money. 5 months. So, you know, so it's still going to be a while before I have anything coming in. It's going to be a while. But nice thing is, when it does come in, they have to pay you back pay from when you first really became disabled. So even, you know, not just when I applied for it, but for the couple of years that I was working when it was getting super, super, super bad and almost impossible to do my job. So there'll be that. But people have to, I know one of the things with fibromyalgia, because it affects so many areas of your body. It's not just one place, so many areas. They call it the invisible disease because people can literally, you know, look perfectly fine on the outside. Look just fine, but the pain, like with rheumatoid arthritis, you can see it. You can see what it does to the body. It, you know, how it causes the deformities and everything. You can see that, but you can't see fibromyalgia. You can't see it. You can see me walking with a cane and walking very slow, but you don't know why. You know, For all anybody knows, I could have fallen off a horse, for heaven's sakes. But I can't even. I would love to see me try getting on a horse right now. That would be hilarious. If I ever try to do anything like that, I'm going to take a camera, let my husband film it, and throw it up on YouTube for you guys to enjoy. Else, it'd be funny. It'd be real funny. But, so for anyone struggling with any kind of chronic illness, chronic pain, know that God's there. You know, my husband asks me all the time, why is God doing this to you? You're such a faithful person. Why is he doing this to you? And I'm like, he's not doing this to me. He's not. And everybody in this world has to struggle one way or another. Life is a struggle. That is the cost of living in this sin-sick world. We have to struggle. But that's our hope, that God will one day take us out of these painful, hurting bodies, and he will wipe away all of our tears. And, life will be eternally wonderful, glorious, because Jesus is going to come back for us, those of us who are faithful and believe him. And that's why you can always tell everybody everything's going to be all right. Because everything is not only going to be all right, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. But this world, we're struggling, and we have trials. And, we have financial trials. We have physical trials. We have lots of emotional trials. I think that's probably the most major epidemic in the world today, because everyone suffers from it. No one is exempt. We have emotional trials, problems with our marriage, problems with our children, problems with, our friends, that just, there's things going to happen that's going to be heartbreaking. Our hearts are going to get broken in this world. But that's why it's all the more important to trust Jesus, because in those times, he is the only one that can truly come alongside us and comfort us and heal us. He's the only one that can do that. He can take our broken hearts and he can put them back together again. And better yet, if it's so broken that it can't be put back together again, which happens, he can give us a new heart. One that will beat strong again. And when I say that, I'm talking about giving you the strength and the courage to pick up and go forward. That's why we have to keep Jesus our main focus. We have to. We have to, every day of our lives, live Jesus out for people so that they can see. Like with me, my body is a mess. I'm in so much pain. I have my disability tag in my car, and people ask me all the time that know my circumstance, that know my struggles and everything. How can I just keep smiling? How can I keep smiling in the midst of all of this? I'm like, I have my moments when I get a little bit down and everything. Honestly, more over finances than my health. That's just me. I worry about money. But I'm not going to let my circumstances right now, hopefully never, determine how I live my life and completely rob me of my joy. My joy is a gift from the Holy Spirit, and I'm not going to let anything in this world take it away from me. And neither should you. We have to find things, and sometimes it's very small things, to keep our focus on Jesus and just stuff that gives us joy. For me is this right here. Bible journaling, scripture writing, planning with my planners, even though I don't have that much to plan. I just love doing it because they're so gosh darn pretty. But things like this, the small things, that's where we have to find our joy. I had to go see my cardiologist yesterday, had an appointment, and she was new. Mine had retired, so I had to see a new one. And she was wonderful because, normally doctors will only talk to you about what their specialty what their specialty is. So my cardiologist before didn't want to hear really so much about my other issues, just what he thought was pertaining to my heart. But she was different. She actually listened to me talk about the fibromyalgia and how it seemed to affect me and affect my heart and everything. Because when you're in pain, your blood pressure will go up. It's an automatic response. So it's just one of those things. And she was asking about physically what I am able to do. And I told her not a whole lot at all. And I also told her how I used to be before this kind of just took over my body. My husband and I, we hiked all the time. We went out almost at least 3 to 4 times a day in hiking. I used to exercise, do Pilates and aerobics for anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes, 6 days a week. I mean, I was very active, and I was never one to just sit around. But fibromyalgia changes that. When your heart goes nuts, it changes that. It limits what you can do. And she was very sympathetic. She understood a lot. And she was just very, very, very sympathetic. And because she wants to do some testing on my heart, it's kind of just like routine maintenance testing, where she will, she wanted to do a stress test. But she asked me how I tolerated those, and I really do not tolerate them at all. I cannot, on my own, get my heart rate up to where they want it so they can do, the filming they need to do, pictures of your heart. And so they have to give me the tablet to make my heart rate go up, and that, for me, is so painful. I mean, I literally, last time I did it, thought I was having a heart attack right there on the table, and they had to give me 2 nitroglycerin tablets to bring my heart rate back down. So, it was not fun. And like I said, the cardiologist I had then was not very sympathetic. He was more like, just do it. Just get it done. We have to have this done. So, this doctor she's like, okay, we don't want to put you through that again. So, they're just going to do an echocardiogram. And she even asked if it hurt too bad for them to put, the little massager almost thing. They have to, I don't know what, I think they call it a wand, but they have to move it around. They have to kind of press in to get the image. And she wanted to know if that was painful. I'm like, it's very painful, but it's tolerable. I can take that kind of pain. I know a lot of people that can't. Believe me, there's most people that have all of the issues that I have, from the back pain to the fibromyalgia pain, are on some pretty heavy duty medications. Now, I'm on a lot of medications, but as far as pain goes, I try to stay away from especially the opiates. The closest thing I take, and it's not good, so I don't take it I only take it when I'm having really bad days. It's tramadol, and it's an opiate-like medication, but you can get addicted to it too. And so I do not take it every day by any means. And if I do have a day that I take it, I try to start with one. And if that doesn't work, then I'll take a second one. But that's usually, my limit. The only time I have taken extremely hard stuff, and that was hydrocodone, was when I ruptured my disc back in November of last year. And that was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. And I gave birth to a 10-pound, 4-ounce baby naturally. So I know a little bit about pain. But it felt like something exploded in my back. And I could not get clothes on. I couldn't do anything. I just bawled. I was crying the whole time. I never cry at pain. Never. I just go, But, I mean, I was just in horrible, because the pain was just so bad. I can never explain it. Probably only people that's had that happen will get it, but got to the emergency room. My husband had to come home from work, get me dressed, because I could not even dress myself. Got me to the emergency room. The emergency room doctor thought it was muscles. She didn't do any kind of x-rays or anything to determine what it was. She said, "Oh, you must have pulled some muscles." And I pulled muscles before. I've pulled lots of muscles, and I knew this was not a muscle. And but I was in too much pain to even talk, much less, try to explain to her, "No, this is different." So she just gave me a big shot of pain medicine and some muscle relaxers and a prescription for hydrocodone, and sent me home. Well, about finally is it longer than that? Well, maybe 6 months later, they finally tell me exactly what it is, after struggling with MRIs and having the epidural steroid put in my back. I was like, I said, "What? Could you please tell me my exact diagnosis?" I said, "Oh, yeah, sure." And then they told me I have degenerative disc disease and then a lot of arthritis up and down my spine. I'm like, "Well, that's good to know. Thank you so much." Thanks for sharing that information with me. I do appreciate it. But, so yeah, that's where I'm at in life. But I'm going to tell you the honest truth. And I was praying last night, and I told Jesus this. I am almost grateful for this pain, because if it wasn't for this disability, I would still be working, just because that's who I am. I'd be out there in the workforce making the money, and wouldn't be doing this. Wouldn't be sitting here conversating with you ladies. And this is a blessing. This is such a blessing. You are such a blessing. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful God sidelined me for a while anyway. And I know He still has good things for me. I know He still is going to use me, to share His love. Even if it's only here on YouTube. YouTube reaches a lot of people. And that is my hope, that I can use this media to bless people, to reach people, to let them know Jesus loves them. And no matter where they're at, what their current circumstance, they're going to be okay, as long as they just relax and let themselves be cradled in the arms of God. They will be okay. He is our anchor. He is going to hold us steady where we need to be, no matter how the waves and the wind whip around us. So just hold tight to Jesus. And when you feel like you're sinking, do like Peter did. Scream out, "Lord, help me." And I promise you, He will. Sometimes it doesn't come, in the way that we want it to, or even in the time frame we want it to. But God knows better. He knows when we need it. He knows the exact time we need it, and He knows what we need. So, trust Him today. Talk to Him for a little while. Tell Him what you're worried about. Tell Him what you're scared of. Tell Him how you're feeling. Just pour your heart out to Him, because that's what He wants from us anyway. He wants our hearts. And He already knows what's there, but He wants the companionship of us. He wants relationship with his children. And that's what we are. It's his babies. We are his children. We are the apple of his eye. And he loves us. So, once again, if you're struggling with something today, talk to Jesus about it. Don't even depend on the people around you to be truly sympathetic, because, especially with fibromyalgia, I know my family, they're not that supportive. They're not, I've tried to talk to them about it and everything. And my daughter's just like, I don't want to hear about the depressing stuff. Why are you always, so depressing? I'm like, I'm just kind of telling you how I feel right now. That's all. But, anyway. So don't depend on the people around you to be your hope and your anchor and your sounding board. Depend on Jesus to do it, because he's going to listen and he's going to do what needs to be done. So ladies, that's it. It's hard for me to color and talk at the same time, so that's kind of messy, but I'm going to finish it up and then we'll see what else I do the rest of the day. I will let you know if anything happens, if anything, fun happens. I'll let you guys know. And I just hope you have a blessed day. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Share me with your friends if you think that this ministry is something that would bless somebody else. And just have an awesome, awesome day. Remember, I have my Patreon link down below. Also, my Etsy shop link down below. My P.O. Box and my email address. So if you want to drop me a line, do so. I love hearing from you guys. All right. Thank you. Love you so much. Bye, 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 bye.